80, the extension in San Francisco closed from 101 to 6th Street due to major damage there. Major damage at Highway 101 and Highway 92 in San Mateo. It's the big interchange there. Major damage. Highway 92 is closed. University Avenue, the overpass collapsed onto Highway 101 in Palo Alto. We wish we could tell you more from the South Bay right now, but we don't have any information there other than that there is serious damage in Santa Cruz County and that there are fatalities. Also, major damage to the 3rd Avenue overpass on 101 in San Mateo. And major damage to Highway 280 at Mora. That's in the Los Altos Hills in the South Bay.
I think I have one more to add to that, Lauren. We just got this word that northbound 85 is closed in Santa Clara County. And we'll keep bringing you the information as we hear it here on the roads.
Okay, the San Mateo Bridge is going to be closed all night. The pilings there have been weakened. They want to be able to take a look at that in daylight before they open that up again. And obviously the Bay Bridge is closed. The Richmond-San Rafael Bridge, importantly, the Golden Gate Bridge and the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge are open. So that's about the only way out of town tonight, other than South Bay. But you'll have trouble getting to the approach of the Golden Gate Bridge. A lot of trouble because, of course, there is that huge fire that's burning in the Marina District right now. And along with all the other trouble over there, traffic is a nightmare.
Great problems getting water to that fire in the Marina. I might add one other thing that we saw when we were coming back from Candlestick as we got into the financial district is there are all kinds of people walking around the streets. There are obviously commuters who are stranded because BART is not running and because the Bay Bridge is closed down. So if you're waiting for someone to come home from San Francisco, you should be patient and don't necessarily jump to conclusions that they're hurt or anything, because there are just a lot of people out there who are waiting. Right now you can see on the screen that the school where they have set up a Red Cross shelter, and the address of that, this is in San Francisco, this is at Fillmore and Bay Street in San Francisco at the Marina Middle School, and I've got to assume that this has something to do with a big fire that has been going on down in the marina that has been burning out of control. And of course the big problem down there in the marina right now is the inability to bring water in, which is something, a problem that we had in 1906, and we're apparently still having problems with that. A lot of people, by the way, waiting by the ferry docks as well when we were coming in along the Embarcadero.
That's one thing I haven't heard about. Do you know if the ferries are running? I
could see 2 boats in docked, and I could see a lot of people that were waiting there, and I've got to assume that the boats were running, but I'm assuming right now.
We're getting word now from East Bay Mud and Marin Water companies. They're reporting no water problems in either the East Bay or in Marin County. Also, no serious damage or injuries reported at UC Berkeley.
Is that where that fire, did I hear that they were having a fire at the library at UC Berkeley?
There was a fire reported at Berkeley High School building, but we have no update yet as to its status.
Larry Kroner telling us that there was a fire at Berkeley High School.
Building near Berkeley High School, part of the campus.
Part of the campus at Berkeley High School.
No update on that yet. It was one of several fires they were working.
No update is what they're saying. And you have no reports of any injuries there. Okay.
Among all the various modes of transportation that aren't working in the Bay Area tonight, there is no Amtrak service. The Amtrak Zephyr was stopped in Sacramento. It will not be coming into San Francisco tonight.
Kate Kelly standing by in the weather office right now, and I think she's got an interview lined up for us. Kate?
Yes, Wendy, I'm with Thomas Kelly, who is visiting from Oklahoma, a tourist here in San Francisco, who was on the Bay Bridge this afternoon at 5:05 when the earthquake hit, and you were on the lower deck heading towards Oakland, I understand?
Yes, that's correct. We were right at the base of the bridge when the earthquake occurred, and it seemed like a small shock there. It was a loud, thunderous noise, and fairly short, and then we drove up the bridge along with a lot of other people.
So after the earthquake, did the traffic slow down?
Yes.
At that point, did you stop the car when it was happening, or did
when
you
the earthquake occurred, really, at the time of the quake, there was nothing out of the ordinary, really. It was just a large boom, like a giant jackhammer, one big drop, and everybody just recognized the fact and went on.
Now, here's some pictures that you took or your wife took?
My wife, she was, I think I'm actually in the frames, a lot of them.
Yeah. Now, explain what happened. You were diverted, you said, by Caltrans. They took you and at Treasure Island and put you and circled you around onto the upper deck? Right.
There was one Caltrans vehicle, and he seemed to have very sketchy information. They knew that a section of the bridge was out. They didn't know much more than that. They thought 100 foot at the time. They were diverting vehicles. They were headed to Oakland, back to an exit, going the wrong direction to the upper deck. And when about 100 cars, I would say, were told to turn right when they got to the bridge, which meant go to Oakland. And some of the people that got up there went right to Oakland, and others went left. I guess they wanted to get back to the city. We were trying to get out of town, so we did turn right. And as you approached, of course, you know, you got up to normal speed, and things looked like it was okay.
See, so let me just get this straight. You were on the upper deck now, heading towards Oakland.
Correct.
And what did you find out? Just those video that we saw there?
Well, as you approached the crack, there were people turning around. It was just kind of mass confusion. There were people driving the correct way into San Francisco. There were a lot of people going outbound to Oakland, a lot of hand waving and such, and pretty much most of the cars that went to the failed section were in a group, and you know, got wind that something was wrong up ahead. We turned around. My wife was in the back. She was taking the video, and there were two cars quite a bit behind us. We were like the third to the last of this group. And the first car was the one that tried to scale the span, probably didn't recognize, and it was very difficult to see. It really looked sort of like a mirage, or like looking at the side of a stop sign. You really couldn't, you know, see that there was any real difference there until you walked right up on it. And the fellow that tried to jump it, it didn't look like he'd ever hit his brakes. He just, you know, was driving Oakland and going 50 or 60 miles an hour, and recognized it too late and jumped across. And when he hit, the car sank into the hole. You could see it tried to run up, and the front axle was bashed up underneath. And the people were in there for quite a long time. We were probably there an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm. But they appeared to survive?
No, I think the driver died, it appeared, is what we...
That's unconfirmed, right?
The driver was in very bad condition. The steering wheel and such was obviously in him. The passenger was cognizant, and he kept trying to get out. He was pretty panicked, it seemed, trying to get out, and some of the people on the other side were trying to keep him in.
So there was damage on that upper side as well, on the Oakland side of the bridge. And after this one car ran into it, the subsequent cars saw there was a problem, were able to stop.
The second one was the pickup that's in the video, and we turned around with that last vehicle, and you know, you really couldn't help much because it was on the other side. The Oakland side is where the car hung.
And people were helping? Were they getting out of their cars and helping at this point, or was there just still confusion?
There were a few people that were on top of the bridge. I don't know where they came from. I think they came from a lower deck and climbed up. I'm not sure. One guy appeared to be from the Coast Guard. He was trying to direct the chopper in, and he actually did, and it landed, but they weren't of any help. Then the three Caltrans trucks, tow trucks, pulled up to the lift, and
they were able to take it from there, I'm sure.
One after the other tried to grab a hold of it.
Thomas Kelly, I hope you'll come back to San Francisco at another time. Thank you very much for helping us, and I will go back to Wendy in the newsroom.
Okay, Kate, thanks a lot. We have some good news to report, and that is the big fire in the marina is under control right now. And that's very, very good news, because that's been burning out of control at this point for several hours. The problem, of course, being a lack of water there. I want to repeat some of the facts as we know them about this earthquake right now. The word from the Lieutenant Governor's office is that 53 people are confirmed dead. 45 of those people in the I-880 crash right there, where part of the freeway actually collapsed. 45 people dead there. 6 people in San Francisco. 2 people confirmed dead in the collapse on the Bay Bridge. Again, we are talking about an earthquake of 7-point magnitude on the Richter scale. The epicenter was 10 miles northeast of Santa Cruz, 20 miles south of San Jose. Some other updates for you right now. We're getting word in that the Air Force is flying the governor back from West Germany tonight to deal with this situation. Oakland police are reporting minor looting. Again, we've got some there, and right here on the screen right now, you can see the center closest to Hollister, which of course suffered a quake, a medium-sized quake or a good-sized quake of its own not a few years back. And we're talking about a 7-point quake at this point, just off the San Andreas Fault, and you can see the fault line as it runs up through the Bay Area and through San Francisco. At this point, the heaviest damage reports that we are getting are from the San Francisco-Oakland area, also San Benito and Santa Clara County are reporting heavy damage, but right now, of course, the information is still sketchy, and we're continuing to gather that information for you. Widespread power outages, east and west Oakland reporting power outages. Power outages that we saw as we were driving back from Candlestick is just pitch black in parts of San Francisco and South. Damage reports that we are getting are from the San Francisco-Oakland area, also San Benito and Santa Clara County are reporting heavy damage, but right now, of course, the information is still sketchy, and we're continuing to gather that information for you. Widespread power outages, east and west Oakland reporting power outages. Power outages that we saw as we were driving back from Candlestick is just pitch black in parts of San Francisco and South San Francisco. Again, the advice is to stay away from down power lines, and do be careful out there because it's pitch dark right now with the power outages. Stay away from down power lines, turn off your gas lines, because at this point the concern shifts to fire. And again, as in the earthquake in 1906, the major damage was not from the quake itself, not the structural damage, but the problem from fire, because there is a problem getting water to a fire if one starts. You want to take a lot of care there. Again, we want to repeat the highways that are closed right now. 280, and maybe you can help me out here a little bit. Larry Croner here, our chief writer. 280 in San Jose is closed. 101 northbound at 3rd Street closed by a sinkhole that has been forming there. Eastbound and westbound 92 at Highway 101, both closed. And here you see a map here so you can kind of orient yourself as to what we're talking about.
Central Freeway and Embarcadero Freeway.
Right, Central Freeway and the Embarcadero Freeway in San Francisco are also closed right now. And of course, the Bay Bridge and the San Mateo bridges are closed. A lot of commuters right now in San Francisco are trying to figure out a way to get home. Now I'm getting a correction here. I've been giving you some bum advice. Turn off the gas only if you smell it, is the advice that is coming to us right now. Joe Fonzie is with me here on the set. Joe and I were, of course, out at Candlestick together. You were inside the stadium when you felt the quake. You and Wayne Walker were standing there together with your producer. And tell me exactly what you saw.
Well, we had a whole crew of people out there, and it was a strange situation because we were under that overhang on the second deck there at Candlestick Park. And at first, the first sensation that we had was that feeling that you get, maybe everybody in the stadium was starting to kick their feet and start to get excited.
You feel the ground moving.
And then as the entire ballpark started to move, we all realized that we were in an earthquake. And it's kind of funny because I remember Wayne saying, this is not a good place to be.
With the overhang.
With the overhang, and we looked up and there was a few tons of concrete right above us at that time. And by that time, the stadium was really starting to roll. That concrete, we could see it start to dip like that, and the light standards were swaying very severely from left to right. And just about the time that we got the sense that, this isn't a good place to be, we better get out of here, it began to settle. And those of us who have been through California earthquakes many times before, it's usually a sense of, okay, this is the worst of it, and we'll just ride it out. But then this one continued to increase in its intensity before it finally did subside. And then everybody, I think in the ballpark, nobody really thought that it was that serious. There was a big applause that went up in the crowd.
We were talking about that earlier, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that people were in game mode.
Right.
And they were also cut off from other communications, so they were not able to get the word right away that this was a very serious earthquake we were talking about. And we're talking at this point about dozens of deaths. So you talked with some of the players afterwards as well, right?
You know, it was an unusual scene because the players were very concerned. The players from both dugouts were looking up toward their families in the stands, and they were trying to find out what had happened. And it really was the scene at Candlestick Park that I'll never forget. It was the most unusual scene in World Series history. Players from both teams walking off the field with their families without a single out having been recorded. When the quake hit, things much more important than baseball became the priority.
It was a pretty good shaker. That's an understatement at this point, but the first thing you try and do is just account for your family and sort of gather them all together. And thank God everybody's okay and nobody's hurt here. I don't know what the damage assessment is around the city, but we can only pray that nobody has been injured by this.